Myself for 5 minutes. Germany is the biggest economy in Europe, twice the GDP of Russia. But it's also been the biggest free rider in NATO for decades. They've finally reached 2% of GDP on defense by some metrics, but they're still not a very capable force. Germany promised in 2023 to deploy an armored brigade to Lithuania, and that brigade isn't going to be fully operational until 2027. It takes the nation that once fielded hundreds of divisions 4 years to move a single brigade just a few hundred miles away from Germany. General Cavoli, the Europeans are finally starting to spend more on their defense, but how long is it going to take before their spending turns into real capability?
Thanks, Senator. This is a very important question because we have been waiting a long time to get the levels of defense spending we're starting to see. Now there's got to be something to buy. So we have a lot of countries, 23 nations budgeting over 2% this year, several going over 3%. I believe the number 6 are over 3% this year. Now it's a matter of converting it into hardware and organizations. And our industrial base, both in Russia and on this side of the Atlantic, is struggling to produce the relevant equipment and the quantities needed. So basically, there's more money available than stuff right now, sir. I think
Why?
Well, our defense industrial bases on both sides of the Atlantic consolidated and atrophied under lack of orders. And then there are some bureaucratic problems in governments in terms of acquiring stuff so that it goes slowly. But I think this question of the elasticity of our defense industrial base, again, on both sides of the Atlantic, is one of the great strategic questions of the next 10, 15 years.
Got it. The German defense minister last year said that Germany needed to move towards spending 3% of its GDP or more on defense. Do you think the Germans are serious about spending that much on their military?
Yeah, I think they are, Senator. And the reason I say that is because Friedrich Merz was just elected as the next chancellor in Germany, and very rapidly he, sort of outlined the next coalition that he's going to be leading, and they came to an agreement to do a massive increase in defense spending, far beyond the 100 billion euros they talked about a couple of years ago. And the way they got there was by releasing the so-called debt brake that prevented Germany from assuming deficit spending. So they have exempted defense spending from the debt brake. This is an historic breakthrough for them, and it is the thing that's going to allow them to apply their rather prodigious economic resources to defense. They have a very strong plan to modernize and to expand. It's exactly in accordance with what I need as the Supreme Allied Commander, and I'm very eager to see this coalition.
Feel like they're collaborating with you on that plan?
Absolutely, sir.
Good. How much would it strengthen your hand if all of our NATO allies increase their spending on defense up to 3%?
Sir, I don't think you've ever met a general who wants less defense spending among the force providers. It would help a great deal.
It would strengthen your hand. It would help.
Absolutely, and we're eager to see it come to pass, and we're especially eager to see it turn into real capability, which is going to require some improvements in our industrial capacity.
It's clear that the United States should redeploy more of its units in Europe to the Pacific. But I also want to make sure that we do that in the right way. General, what U.S. capabilities are our European allies least capable of replacing right now?
Yeah, they're least capable of replacing high-end air and missile defense on a large basis. They depend on us for significant intelligence collection, processing, exploitation, and dissemination. They depend on us for deep, long-range fires. They depend on us for aerial command and control for large-scale campaigns. They depend on us for the backbone of certain parts of command and control. Those are really the key things. There are a few things else that I'd like to go into closed session, sir.
What capabilities can our European allies where are they most prepared to take over from us?
Well, right now they do a variety of things without us, right? So today I believe it's 17 or 20 European ships, NATO ships turned over to my command as SACEUR. Normally, military forces are held by the nations, and then they turn it over to me for particular operations. I have 0 U.S. ships working for me as SACEUR right now. I have only 40 individual human beings, Marines, who are participating in the operation to monitor the Baltic Sea. We call it Baltic Sentry. Everything is being done by our European allies in those cases. So they have a variety of things they can do for us in any one of those areas. One of the most important things they do provide is intelligence. While we have exquisite capability collect, they have very deep understanding of their regions, and they have some capabilities that we struggle to match in that regard. And those intel sharing relationships, sir, are based on a broader relationship that we cultivate very carefully.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
Senator Peters.